This is my hometown. It's called Youngstown, and it's in the state of Ohio near the Pennsylvania boundary. In Youngstown, we make steel. We make steel and talk steel. I guess it's the same in Sheffield, England, or that place the Russians built in the Urals, Magnitogorsk. I'd like to tell you something about how we make steel here. Look down any street in town, and you'll see the mills at the end of it. There are 25 miles of them along the Mahoning River, and today they're busy day and night. Every 8 hours, the shifts change. 15,000 men to the shift. The men going to work can see the freight trains bringing in the raw materials: iron ore, coal, and limestone. This is the ore. It looks like dirt, but in a few weeks it'll become part of a ship, a tank, or a gun. And in peacetime, an office building, a bridge, or a dam structure. An overhead crane picks it up and carries it over to the skip hoists, which take it up to the top of the blast furnace. In the blast furnace, the boys smelt the ore into iron, the first step in making steel. Molten iron comes out at 3,300 degrees. The slag comes up to the top like cream in a pitcher and goes out the other way. That's Johnny Chonko on the snort valve controlling the blast. When things get too hot, he's got to think quick and move quicker. Peter Zeman's the blower, head man on the shift. He tells them when it's time to stop the flow. This is the open hearth where the molten iron from the blast furnace is mixed with scrap iron and the two purified into steel. I remember the first time I saw it, the size of the place, the noise, the sirens wailing when the big stuff moved overhead, and the heat hitting you like a solid wall. It's something you don't forget. Boys are slagging, lining a furnace with dolomite. This protects the wall of the furnace against the extreme temperature. Down the line, Bob Wentworth is charging scrap iron, scrap that came from farms, backyards, and attics all over the country, collected by school kids and housewives to do their part in the war. Next door, Tommy Hughes is giving one of the furnaces a drink of hot iron from the 35-ton ladle. This iron is fresh from the blast furnace. open hearth, the steel's nearly finished. The first and second helpers take a sample. Mike Kubinski's the first. Earl Strong is his assistant. Mike's people came here from Czechoslovakia. Earl's ancestors came from England in the 17th century, when there wasn't much to America but a few colonial villages along the coast. By inspecting samples of the molten steel, the boys can tell exactly when the furnace should be tapped. The open hearth gang ravels out the hole in the rear of the furnace and lets the steel out, roaring and spitting at 3,000 degrees. The pit gang dumps in alloys to give it the special qualities they want in this batch. This ladle weighs 100 tons, but the overhead crane handles it like a toy. Lifts it over to a line of ingot molds where it's tapped off. We call this teaming. Just to be on the safe side, another test is made to be sure that the alloys have been added in proper amounts. The ingots are carried over to the blooming mill where they get their first shaping. It looks rough, but these rollers squeeze the ingots down to a tolerance of a 1/16 of an inch. George Bannon and Clarence Kinney control the operation from the pulpit. They've been doing this together for so long, they work like one man with 4 hands. When the ingots flatten to a slab, Fred Ingram takes over. He cuts a slab with hydraulic shears under many tons of pressure. Fred's a shop steward for the union, which has an agreement with the mill. He represents the workers on the plant's labor management committee. These days they're discussing production problems. We've got the machines, like this one in the hot strip mill, where in one continuous operation a slab of steel is flattened into a sheet. Each roller operates at a different speed, synchronized to handle a slab that's growing longer and thinner and moving faster all the way down the line. This is it, steel. Only a few hours ago it was iron ore. Now it's finished and on its way to become a part of the new world it's building. We've proved we can lick production problems. We've got the equipment, the science, everything it takes to get the job done. But when the war is over, we're going to have other problems. We know about that in Youngstown. We've had it here before. There were times when there was no smoke in the sky. The mills were quiet. The street full of men, angry, questioning, wondering. We're beginning to understand that these things don't just happen in one place, they happen everywhere. We're thinking that all this production all over the world that's doing such a job in a war can do a job in peace too, if we can just learn to work together.